Tonight, the suspended Labour MSP Colin Smith is facing charges over allegations a secret camera was placed in toilets inside the Scottish Parliament. Staff are being offered counselling. Also making the headlines.
You never know if there's a rodent there or not.
Rodents, mould and damp, just some of the issues facing tenants of Scotland's largest social landlord. We hear from a woman battling a rat infestation.
I've basically trained myself into becoming a weekly homes tenant rat catcher, if you like.
Could the glass milk bottle be consigned to history? Dairy farmers say a new packaging tax could force them out of production. And in sport, ahead of the Old Firm derby, we hear from Russell Martin on Nicholas Raskin's future and Brendan Rodgers on Celtic's transfer strategy. I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. The suspended Labour MSP Colin Smith is facing charges over allegations that a secret camera was placed in toilets inside the Scottish Parliament. Holyrood's presiding officer Alison Johnston says Police Scotland have done a full sweep of all the toilets and no covert recording device has been found. Well, our political editor Colin Mackay is in the Scottish Parliament. Colin, what's been going on?
Well, last week we found out that Colin Smith had been arrested and charged with possession of indecent images, including images of children. Now he's facing further charges over allegations that a secret camera was placed in toilets inside the Scottish Parliament. On Tuesday, this place was swarming with police, but at the end of every summer break, just before the MSPs come back, they do a big security sweep of the entire Parliament complex. So no one thought anything of it at the time, but this time they were also checking the toilets for cameras. Today, the presiding officer has written to all Parliament pass holders. She confirms that the police checked all the Parliament toilets and that no covert recording devices were found, but she's stepping up future security sweeps. And just last night, the chief executive of the Parliament wrote to pass holders with details of a confidential support helpline. It also says you'll be aware of the serious criminal charges brought against Colin Smith MSP. With Police Scotland's investigation ongoing, the Scottish Parliamentary Corporate Body has deactivated his parliamentary security pass. Now that has only happened once before in very, very different circumstances. It means that the South of Scotland MSP can only get into the Parliament building if he's accompanied and escorted. So as an MSP, he can't get into the Parliament on his own, although he could still, in theory, take part in debates and vote remotely. Mr Smith says that he's cooperating fully and refutes the allegations. He says after his address was published, he felt he had to move away to protect his family, and he's asked for the privacy of his family, friends and himself to be respected. The Crown Office told me today no court date has been set.
And Colin, on other political matters, the Scottish Greens have announced 2 new co-leaders.
Gillian Mackay and Ross Greer are the new co-leaders of the Scottish Greens. They take over from Lorna Slater, who narrowly lost out in the election today, and Patrick Harvey, who's been the leader of the party, or co-leader of the party, for 17 years, since the 2 new leaders elected today were still at school. So that's why they're describing this as a generational change. But the turnout was really low. It's the lowest I've seen in any party leadership contest. Only 950 Green members out of about 7,500 bothered to vote for the new leadership team. Are you worried, though, if you can't persuade your own party members to vote in a leadership contest, how on earth are you going to persuade the public to vote for you at a Scottish Parliament election?
Internal elections and general elections are very different from each other, and we've got a very good platform to go forward and convince the electorate across the country that we are the party for them.
We have a serious challenge on our hands for everyone who believes in a fairer, greener Scotland. Reform are a party of snake oil salesmen and conmen, and we need to take on the kind of lies that they tell. It's not the fault of asylum seekers or trans people that so many other people are finding their lives really difficult right now. It's the fault of billionaires, of greedy landlords, of big polluting corporations. That's who the Scottish Greens will take on.
The Greens were in government, remember, until just over a year ago, and Ross Greer told me today that they could go into government again after the next election. He couldn't see how they could go in with Labour, and he could only see that they would go in with the SNP if they were sure that they were able to deliver green policies. Ross Greer also says he wants to make it fun to be green, bringing the party to party leadership, maybe.
Oh dear. Colin, thank you. Homes riddled with mould, damp and even rodents. These are just some of the issues facing tenants in Scotland's socially rented homes. A report focusing on Scotland's largest social landlord, Glasgow's Wheatley Homes, shows the extent of the housing crisis. Despite tenants raising issues with housing officers, they claim landlords failed to promptly sort their issues. Wheatley Homes say they resolve the vast majority within 15 working days. A reporter, Vanessa Taff, has met one tenant dealing with a worsening rat infestation.
This would be the cupboards here, Vanessa, where they're getting through, they're coming. I no longer use these cupboards at all. And the reason being for that is because you never know if there's a rodent there or not. And under here what I have is I usually leave some black bags so you can hear them land when they come up the back of the unit.
And you found rats in here many times?
Yeah, I've fought with rats in here many times. I've had them freely running out the cupboard and running on the floor.
Rats like this one are plaguing Linda. She says they're living in the walls of every room in her home.
This is where I think the main problem lies.
Linda is partially sighted and suffers from health complications. The stress of rats and squirrels doesn't help her condition. She believes they're getting in underneath her home through vents and other gaps.
I've had to physically deal with disposing of rats myself in this accommodation. I've been bitten. This has been a gradual process over the 7 years where I've basically trained myself into becoming a Wheatley Homes tenant rat catcher, if you like, in order to live in my accommodation.
A report into Scotland's largest social landlord, Wheatley Homes, found Linda isn't the only one having issues. Of a sample surveyed, 75% of tenants said they've mould or damp in their home. Some have lived with it for more than 5 years. Wheatley Homes say they will treat the issue within 15 days and inspect it within 2 days. But only 1 in 10 renters said they met this deadline.
It's really worrying, the state and the quality of social housing in Scotland at the moment. Everyone deserves an affordable home, but unfortunately often those who get affordable homes are dealing with damp and mould or rodent problems or worse. There should be more of an onus on landlords, whether social or private, to make sure that the quality of housing is up to standard. No one should have health problems because of where they live.
A Wheatley Homes spokesperson said the vast majority of cases are resolved within their 15 working day target. They added, the number of those surveyed with mould and damp doesn't reflect the strong processes and reporting they collect for the Scottish Housing Regulator. Regarding Linda's rat complaint, they say they take all reports of rodents seriously, and a pest control team has visited the home on a number of occasions. However, as far as Linda's concerned, their presence is just part of the furniture. Vanessa Taff, STV News in Glasgow.
3 teenagers have died in a car crash in the Highlands. Police say the driver and 2 passengers, who are all male and believed to be in their mid-teens, died after the incident on the A830 between Mallig and Arisaig late last night. A doctor has been charged after allegations of posting numerous disparaging messages on social media to try to discredit his son's rape victim, Ellie Wilson. Dr Andrew McFarlane has been charged with communication offences. His son, Daniel McFarlane, was found guilty of rape and jailed for 5 years in 2022. Peak time ScotRail fares across Scotland will be scrapped on Monday. Travellers will pay the off-peak price on all services, regardless of the time or day of the week. Commuters who currently pay £32 for a return trip between Glasgow and Edinburgh will see prices almost halved. The Scottish Government hopes the move will encourage more people to travel by railway. Scottish teachers have threatened strike action if the Scottish Government and councils don't tackle what they say is the extreme workload stress they're under. A ballot by the EIS, the country's largest teaching union, found more than 80% of members favour striking. The Scottish Government says it remains committed to working to reduce class contact time for teachers. Dairy farmers are warning that glass milk bottles could be consigned to history due to a controversial packaging tax, which they say is disastrous for business. The new levy will make producers pay the cost of recycling their packaging, and glass is facing some of the steepest fees. Our reporter Laura Piper has more.
For this family dairy on the Isle of Gia, the days of milk in bottles are numbered. They say a new environmental packaging levy means they can't afford to keep going.
Well, it's shutting us down. Basically, the government has decided that they don't want milk in glass bottles. The tax is so heavy on glass because it's entirely based on weight. And a 1 litre glass bottle is about 10 times the weight of a plastic equivalent. So we've had to take the painful decision that we're end of this month, as we run through the last pallet load of bottles, we've got to just stop.
It's been a blow for the family who deliberately chose reusable glass bottles to be more sustainable.
The idea behind the eco-levy is to shift the cost of household recycling from the councils back onto the companies using the packaging, generating around £1 billion a year in fees.
The UK government says it's part of their commitment to crack down on waste. They told STV News that businesses using reusable glass containers will only pay the fees once. But once is still considered too high for this family farm. And across the water on the mainland, others share their worries.
Our team are quite concerned about it. We feel that we've worked really hard. In 2019 we made the decision to not use any more single-use plastic, and since then we've saved about 26 to 28 million pieces of single-use plastic, which is a lot that's not going to landfill. For us to come down the line with very, very little information about it, I found out about it in a Facebook post, for example. It just seems to all be coming down the line as a well-intentioned idea, but the thought just hasn't been there for businesses like us that are actually trying to do the right thing.
A move from glass to plastic would be cheaper under the levy, but as academics warn, plastic comes with its own challenges.
Very little of it, despite the technology developments over the years, is actually recycled and reused. And there are implications of that. There's a lot of discussion and increasing evidence of problems with microplastics in the environment.
The first invoices for the levy are due out this autumn. Mosgiel are bracing for the financial hit to come. On Gia, their last ever milk bottle delivery is preparing to go out. Their focus now shifting to using their herd to make ice cream in paper packaging. Laura Piper, STV News, Gia.
A murder inquiry is underway after a man died in South Lanarkshire. Police were called to the Braeside Crescent area of Kirkmuir Hill on Wednesday morning, where Scott Boyd was found dead. Another man in his 30s was taken to hospital with injuries and has now been released. Nearly 600 fake Labubu dolls have been found in South Lanarkshire. Genuine dolls, which are currently a viral celebrity craze, can sell for hundreds of pounds, but many of the counterfeit toys are made from toxic materials and have small parts which could choke a child. It's one of Scotland's most beautiful coastal areas, but locals in the Kyles of Bute say their seas are being spoiled by sewage. Campaigners in Tinnabrui staged a Dip If You Dare event calling for urgent action on sewage management and affordable solutions amid fears over E. coli and norovirus in their waters. They say it's putting health, the environment and the local economy at risk. Caitlin Hutchison has more.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now!
It was a long, nervous walk for those taking the plunge to make their point. Others were quite happy staying dry.
In the boat and not in the sea.
While some gave their support from the sidelines and the safety of dry land.
Edible chubbies.
It's not pleasant to see something floating past. I swim in the sea regularly, but not in areas where there's sewage pipes going into the sea.
Would you swim in the sea?
No, I don't like walking on the beach and then seeing a tampon somewhere.
We've only lived here 4 or 5 months and I actually thought we would be able to swim, but not been able to.
Sometimes I will go in. I don't normally go here though.
Our mum doesn't really like us swimming in this kind of sea.
What does your sign say that you made?
it said no jobby here. People don't want to swim in the sea when there's like loads of jobbies about. I mean, would you like that?
In a letter to campaigners, Climate Change and Energy Secretary Gillian Martin said Scotland's waters are among the cleanest in Europe, but warned that areas not classed as official bathing waters may carry higher health risks.
This is one of the sewage pipes here that you can see. Gillian Martin has told us that there's nothing wrong with the water quality in the Kyles and Loch Ridden, but the physical evidence that we see strongly suggests otherwise. This is our sea, Gillian Martin. Would you swim in it?
The whole point of the kind of campaign today was like, do you dare to go in the water here? And that's not what we want for Tannabrook. We want people to really be happy to swim here. Our local economy is really relying on sea-based recreation and sea-based businesses, and we want to strengthen that for the future for our children in this area.
Here at the University of Glasgow, researchers are working on sustainable, affordable alternatives for rural communities by enhancing the biological treatment of waste. They say water policy in such areas has long been neglected.
We want to invent new technologies that make it attractive to treat the wastewater in a better way. The challenge is to get Scottish Water and SEPA working with the communities to come up with ways of funding these alternative ways of treating wastewater in rural communities.
Scottish Water say they've invested more than £250 million for wastewater projects in Argyll and Bute since 2002, but their funding is limited to the public network. SEPA told us water quality in Scotland is at its highest ever level, but said it will continue to work on local issues linked to private sewerage systems. For campaigners in Tannabrook, the message is clear. They want their beaches safe, their waters clean, and action taken now. Caitlin Hutchison, STV News, Tannabrook.
Rahman's here with the sport, so what are you going to be talking about?
Have a guess. Have a guess. Bulls? No. First Old Firm derby of the season, and we've been speaking to Brendan Rodgers and Russell Martin ahead of the clash at Ibrox.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
Good evening. Ahead of Sunday's Old Firm derby, Rangers boss Russell Martin has refused to say if Nicola Raskin will be part of his squad, but insists his relationship with the midfielder hasn't broken down. STV Sport understands Raskin has been excluded from training with the first team squad ahead of the match. At Parkhead, Brendan Rodgers has defended the club's board, saying they bleed Celtic, but says Celtic can't stand still and have to change their approach in transfers for them to progress.
Nicola Raskin scored his first goal in an Old Firm derby last season, but there are serious doubts if he'll feature on Sunday or even for the club again. After the 6-0 thrashing by Bruges, Russell Martin admitted there was uncertainty over the midfielder's Ibrox future. Today, the head coach was tight-lipped.
Nico was in training today.
And he's in the squad for Sunday?
I've just said to you, the whole squad is here. Things can change, transfer window's open, so I can't tell you anyone's going to definitely be in the squad or not.
How would you describe your relationship with him?
I would describe my relationship with all the players, all the staff, as honest, open.
Would you say there's a breakdown in that relationship?
There's not a breakdown in any relationships here. If it's honest and open, there can't be a breakdown in any relationships.
Many, and possibly the vast majority of Rangers fans, want Martin sacked following the team's terrible start to the season. The head coach remains defiant.
Do you feel any extra sense of importance in this match with regards to your position?
No, I think this game is always going to be important for anyone.
Have you had any conversations with the owners like Andrew and Parag since that match?
Yeah, I've spoken to Andrew, yeah.
Was that in terms of getting support from them, or?
Yeah, just on this conversation. It has been from day one, so nothing's changed. I didn't get any different feeling from them. They've been great and really supportive.
At Celtic, new recruits Michael Ange Balikwisha and Marcello Saracchi got down to business. Some fans believe the lack of transfer business before their Champions League playoff tie cost the club a place in the money-spinning league phase of the tournament.
We need to find the solutions as to, over the course of the summer, why we weren't able to strengthen before the games when clearly we wanted to. So that's what we need, that in-depth look at that. Because we can't be as a football club in this cycle where we're growing for a couple of years, we get to Bayern Munich, we've shown great signs, and then we stand still.
And the Celtic manager lent his support to an under-fire board.
We've got a major owner in Dermot who's super intelligent guy. We've got a board of directors who bleed for the club. They want the club to do well. So everyone here's connected. It's not, you know, I see and I hear all the stories of disconnection, and it can't be further from the truth. Every single guy, from me, the board, Dermot, we love Celtic, but we want Celtic to be the very, very best.
Adam Ida underwent a medical at Swansea as he nears his £7 million move out of Parkhead, with Celtic said to be lining up Anderlecht striker Kasper Dolberg as a replacement.
Well, Celtic and Rangers have learned who they'll face in the Europa League. Amongst the 8 clubs Celtic will come up against are Roma, Feyenoord and Bologna. Rangers will also take on Serie A side Roma. Porto and Ferencváros are also oppositions they will play. The dates of the fixtures are expected to be confirmed over the weekend. Go to our website for full details of the draw. Now, Hibs boss David Gray has urged his players to earn a European spot again this season after exiting the Conference League in heartbreaking fashion. Hibs were minutes away from securing their place in the tournament proper after going 3-1 ahead against Legia Warsaw in the second leg of their playoff tie last night. But the hosts responded to win 5-4 on aggregate. Here's Jamie Borthwick.
After falling so agonisingly close to making history, Hibernian players and fans were united at full time in Warsaw. The end of the road in Europe this season, but they hope just the start of the journey for a club on the rise.
From 9 months ago when we were rock bottom of the league and probably didn't have the support that we did, we probably lost a little bit of connection with them. To claw it back and see the support and the togetherness and the club thriving at the moment, it's really special.
Legia Warsaw looked in cruise control with a 2-goal aggregate lead before an inspired Hibs comeback blew the hosts away in an explosive spell just after half-time.
Into the box, it's Chaiwa! Hibs have a third!
Amid a cauldron of Warsaw noise, Legia found a stoppage time goal to take the game to extra time before dealing the knockout blow to the shattered Scots.
How close we've came tonight, how well we've performed against top teams. That's another thing I've just reminded the players, the level of opposition we're playing against and the fine margins within it. I thought we've been outstanding in Europe.
Hibs have missed out on the league phase jackpot, but the European experiences on the field and the memories created off it could prove priceless for the season ahead. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
News from the other side of the capital now, and Hearts' new record transfer signing Ajew says the passion of the club's fans was one of the reasons he made the move to Tynecastle. The Brazilian midfielder joins Derek McInnes' squad from Portuguese side Santa Clara on a 4-year contract subject to visa approval and international clearance. It's understood Hearts are paying a 7-figure transfer fee for Ajew. Well, Hearts travel to Livingston in the Premiership tomorrow. There are all of the weekend's games. Motherwell host Kilmarnock. Both clubs are still looking for their first league wins of the season. The Old Firm derby is a 12 o'clock kick-off on Sunday. There's also the first Dundee derby of the new campaign. And Hibs host St Mirren and Falkirk make the trip to Aberdeen.
STV Sport. Sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
And just before I go, John, it's a big night for Cameron Norrie in tennis. He faces Novak Djokovic in the third round of the US Open. That's at Flushing Meadows. That's it from me. Have a great weekend. See you again next week. Goes for you too.
Thank you, Raman. Appreciate the
You're
sincerity
welcome.
of that.
Yeah, of course, always.
Sean is here with the weather. We're all talking about the weekend. The weather's going to make a difference. What's it going to be?
I thought you were going to ask me about the Old Firm or the sport or anything. I can tell you it might rain for it though. But the weekend is looking pretty unsettled. We've got a big low pressure system just to the west of Ireland, and that's going to be driving the weather this weekend. It's going to be very blustery at times. Probably seeing near gale force winds perhaps around the southern end of Kintyre, across Arran, Jura, Isla this weekend. So it will be windy, especially on Sunday. Now, the Cowl Gathering is on this weekend. Laura Boyd and I are the chieftains of that. It looks as if it's going to be dry, at least to start with plenty of sunshine. But just as we arrive around midday, looks as if the rain will turn up. Let's have a look at the forecast.
Outbreaks of ancient sites,
will gradually settle into an evening of pizza plates al fresco. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So a fairly unsettled, changeable weekend to come. The risk of some ferry disruption during the weekend to and from the islands, mostly later on Saturday and through Sunday with the gale force winds in places. Now, we've seen a few lively showers around today, but most of the showers ease away this evening, becoming largely dry. Temperatures about 12 to 14 degrees Celsius. Now, tomorrow, at least to start the day, it's dry. There should be some good spells of sunshine. You'll be thinking, well, Sean said it wasn't going to be too nice, but it'll be a nice start to the day, but don't be fooled. Have a look at the other side of the screen. Lots of rain coming in over Northern Ireland there, and for a pretty wild afternoon, some strong winds, heavy rain coming in there. That rain spreading to us through the afternoon, so it will be turning increasingly wet. So by the end of the day, plenty of rain. And you can see the brighter blues on the map here, the Glenkens area, Cumnock, and also around Argyll, the Highlands here. I expect we could get about 20 to 30 millimetres of rain falling through tomorrow afternoon. So you've got that dry, sunny start to the day, but we will see very wet weather by the end of the afternoon, and the winds picking up as well near gale force around the west coast by the end of the afternoon. Temperatures about 17 or 18 degrees. So there's the gale highlighter. You can see just along the southern coast of Dumfries and Galway, across Arran, Kintyre, Jura, Islay, Coll, Tiree, the risk of near gales to possibly gale force winds on Sunday. So a windy day, plenty of showers around, some heavy and thundery, and of course for the Old Firm game, looking pretty showery for that too. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Do you want to be entertained this evening? Well, look no further, as What's on Scotland is on at 7 o'clock. Emma Cameron and Laura Boyd are getting ready to bring you tonight's programme.
Yes, we've got another packed show for you, starting with 80s star Belinda Carlisle. And you had a rather heavenly chat with that singer, didn't you?
I see what you did there. She was brilliant, chatted to us all about her love of Scotland and, of course, her love of performing.
I mean, I love to sing. So, and I know that these songs bring a lot of pleasure to people. So, and, you know, seeing people's reaction and being able to make people happy is kind of addicted to that.
We've also been chatting to the comedian Stuart Mitchell.
And he's about to head off on tour as well.
I can't believe that when you walk in these theatres, these people have seen you online and they've come to see you live. I still can't really get my head round that.
We explore Inverview Garden.
And don't forget our weekly entertainment guide.
Go on, join us for What's on Scotland tonight at 7 on STV.
Go on, go on, go on. That's it from all of us. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.